Question number 5. I should have done this with a British accent. That's not your question. That's just my comment. But it's too late now to go back and do them all with British accents. Because no one really knows what I sound like. I could have created a whole persona right here. Instead, I'm just a mumbling, bearded fool. Question number 5. What edge or appeal do vampire stories and books and movies have as compared to competitors that makes people so curious about them? What edge or appeal do vampire stories have as compared to competitors? You mean like shark stories? Like vampire Oh, I'm reading your question wrong. Of course I want to be about shark stories. Why didn't you ask me about shark stories? Question number 5. What edge or appeal do vampire stories / books and movies have as compared to competitors that makes people so curious about them? Okay. I get it. I don't think people are curious about vampires. I don't think that's why they read vampire stories. I think it's just the opposite. I think people are drawn to vampire stories because we're all so familiar with them. It's easy. It's easy for the writer to write a vampire story because we all have a point of reference. We know what a vampire is. If the writer was writing a story about like a monkey shark, we don't know what that is. So the writer would have to create the backstory, explain the rules. Oh, the monkey shark lives on Neptune and they eat hair. And that's more work for the writer. So it's easier to write a vampire story. And it's easier for the reader to read a vampire story because we all know what a vampire is. We all have a picture in our head of what a vampire looks like. So the appeal has less to do with being curious about these monsters as it is we're so familiar with them that we know what to expect, and it's sort of like comfort food almost. As far as edge is concerned, there is no edge in Twilight. None. It's as dull as a thing that's dull. Question the 6th. We know vampires are make-believe. Do we? But what makes people want to believe in the fantasy? Or at least gobble up vampire-related books, movies, etc.? Well, vampires, modern vampires, like the ones in Twilight and True Blood, they're pretty and they're powerful. So what's not to like? I mean, there's the draw. That's why people want to sort of believe in that world, that there's these perfect people out there. Like if the vampires looked like your mailman, Twilight would not be selling. They would not be flying off the shelves. But because they look like super hot supermodels and have superpowers, then yeah, people are going to want to buy it. They're sort of like superheroes. Question number 7. Do you believe in vampires? And do modern vampires exist in our society today? Nope. I like that question though. 8. If your job didn't require you to, would you still have bothered to read Twilight? No. Maybe out of curiosity I would have picked up a copy, but I don't think I would have finished it. Number 9. According to critics, the Twilight Saga is poorly written. Do you agree? If yes, why did it become such a hit as to make people notice vampires more than ever? First, it is poorly written in its own special way. There are so many plot holes. There is the language is, it's as if it came from a greeting card factory, and everything to do with Alice makes no sense at all. But you can read about that in all my blogs. The number one problem I have with Twilight, why it's so poorly written, is Bella, is the character Bella, and her so-called story arc, her so-called character arc. She starts off up here. She starts off as being perfect. Wait, I'm going to draw a chart. You're going to get an A because I'm going to do your visual aid. Let's see here. Okay. So I'm going to make a chart of a character's progress through a story. I don't know if you can see this. I'm making a visual aid that you can't see, so then you're going to get an F. Okay, so this is a chart. This is where a character will start. We'll put an S. And this is where a character will end. And then here, this is negative, feeling sad, maybe. Hold on. I didn't really think this through. There's a sad face. sad face, and then up here is being positive and being, I messed that up, but there's a happy face. So Bella starts off in Twilight way up here. She's already wonderful. She moves to a new town, and everyone loves her. She gets straight A's. She's a wonderful student. Her dad is a pretty stand-up guy. There's no villain here. She doesn't have to face any real obstacles. She has it all. All the guys want to date her. All the girls want to be her friend. She's wonderful. And then she stays wonderful for the next 3 books. She goes down a little bit in New Moon when Edward leaves. Then she comes right back. She stays wonderful. And then in Breaking Dawn, well, she goes even higher. She goes off the clipboard. She's off the clipboard wonderful. She's a walking, talking deity at that point. She gets everything she wants up here. Up here. It's like she wants a baby in one chapter. In the very next chapter, she's pregnant. She wants to be a vampire. She gets to be a vampire. She has all the money in the world. She never has to work. She has the opportunity to get a great education, which she doesn't have to pay for. She's married to the most wonderful, beautiful man ever, according to Bella. And she just has it all. Most characters in a story will start off down here. And over the course of the story, they go up. They change. They face obstacles. We'll put an O here for obstacle. They face obstacles. They make sacrifices. We'll put an S for sacrifice. And eventually, they'll get up to where Bella starts. Right? They go through a change. They're no longer the same character they were back here. They change. Now they're a new character. They're the happy character. Or a story could start off with someone being happy, if it's like a sad story, and it ends with them being sad. But again, they change, right? They're no longer the same person by the end of the story. That's not the case with Bella. She's always wonderful. She's always perfect. And then to top it all off, she complains about it. So let's put a C. A C for complaining. She complains about having everything. She complains that her boyfriend is too attractive. He's too wonderful. Her life is too perfect. How am I supposed to relate to that? She's like the kid who gets a PlayStation 3 on Christmas and then complains that it only comes with one controller. How do you relate to that? How do you not yell at that person and say, be happy with what you got? I don't understand. If she were a little bit humble, just a little bit, if she made some sort of sacrifice, if she gave something up, she didn't even have to give up her family to become a vampire. For book after book, they kept telling her, if you become a vampire, you got to cut your entire family out of your life. That's not true. That's not true. The hour after she became a vampire, her dad is now welcome into the house and everything's hunky-dory. She doesn't give up anything. She makes no sacrifice. She faces no obstacle that isn't easily overcome. She's just a horrible character. If she were more humble, I would like her a little more. I would have liked Twilight a lot more. But it's poorly, the book is poorly written because she's such a perfect person. Maybe there's people out there, I guess there's millions of people out there that relate to Bella and say, finally, there's someone who is saying the things I only feel, that yes, being perfect is horrible. Thank you, Bella, for existing, and thank Stephanie Meyer for writing such wonderful words. I don't know. I don't get it. I can't relate to that character. And I honestly find it hard for anyone to relate to her.